Caitlin's uncle in Greene County, Pennsylvania, had a run-in with a dogman. Now, this happened in 1961, and her uncle, David, avid outdoorsman all his life. He was always out in the woods, and he was very knowledgeable with the wildlife, with hunting, and, so it didn't faze him for all his life, since he was a young man, even to when he had this experience. He never believed in anything, out in the woods, anything strange, anything paranormal, anything like Bigfoot or cryptids of that sort. She remembers when she was little that he would scoff at the idea of things, being out in the woods, and he had a change of mind when he witnessed this event, and it was deer season, and he went hunting out on his cousin's land as he did most of his life. And he goes out there, and early in the morning, and sits out and waits. And a couple hours go by, and he hears something rustling out in the distance. Now, it's still, dawn. It's still fairly dark. And he said it was foggy that morning too. So he sees some kind of like mass way far out into the trees, and it's big and it's hulking and it's moving around on fours. And he thinks instantly, oh, that's a bear. And so he stays quiet. He watches and observes what he's seeing. And he says it's kind of like weaving around the trees. And it's sniffing the ground. It's kind of pawing around. And as it gets more within view, he's still sure that that's a bear. But as it gets closer, the mist, is shrouding a lot of these details of what this creature is. So when it gets more within his view, he starts to think, oh my God, this thing has ears on it. Like Caitlin says that he described it as having like the face structure, the look, the ears of a black German Shepherd. But he says that like its fur was just not in a good condition. This wasn't like a sleek, healthy animal. And his heart starts pounding at this point. He knows that this isn't a bear. He's never seen what this was. And so he actually gets ready to shoot it. He's going to take it out. So as he's getting ready, he says this thing gets up on two legs. And he knows now that's definitely not a bear. He says it's about 7 feet tall. And he says the muscle structure of this being was almost man-like, but not man-like proportions. Caitlin says that he described it as the arms were just too long to simply be a man. And he says it had a chest on it. He's getting ready to shoot at it, and he says this thing looks at him, and that its ears go forward with attention. And he says in that moment, he says this thing stepped to the side in a human-like manner. It took a step, and he said that this thing like blended into the tree. The tree and the creature blended together. And it wasn't behind a tree. He said the mass on this thing, if it hid behind the tree, simply hid behind the tree, you'd still see these big shoulders from behind the tree. But he said he literally saw the creature, the Dogman, the werewolf, whatever it was, literally like fused into the tree. It fused into the tree and it was gone. And David was absolutely petrified, but he didn't want to get down yet. He actually waited an hour. And for there in this whole hour, it was dead silent in the woods. Not a bird was chirping, not a leaf was rustling, the wind wasn't even picking up, and the mist was actually starting to dissipate a little. It was just dead silent. And he decided that he had to, get down from his stand. And as he was doing that, he said he saw it. The shoulder and the side of the animal's head out of the tree and looked right at him. And then it back into the tree again. He got down and he booked it back to his truck. And for a long time, he didn't tell nobody what he saw. He didn't tell his family. He didn't even tell Caitlin. She said that it was about a good decade before he admitted what he had seen out there. Because that year, 1961, that year, the family was a little confused as to why David just suddenly was no longer the avid outdoorsman that he was. And they questioned him on it, but he didn't talk about it until about a decade later when he had told Caitlin and her parents about what he had witnessed, and that he knew. He said he knew that everyone would think he was crazy. But he said that when you go out in the woods and it is dead silent out there, that there are things in the trees and they are watching you. Now, if you have your own stories that you want me to read, email them to me and I can tell them in a video. But I thank you all for the watches and the follows and the likes so far, and I hope to keep making more of these videos because I really enjoy doing it. So keep sending me emails, guys.